that we turned the electricity off because,
Right.
you know,
So we saw that.
you know, they had their meter bases or their fuse boxes in the basement, and the water was coming in the basement and that type of thing.
And
So-
I agree with Perry. I mean, and I thought I had heard they said like one in, I know it was over 100, but I don't remember. I thought.
I think the last one that was of that magnitude was, and again, I'm grasping way
Yeah.
back here in some gray matter, but like 1934 or something like
Yeah.
that
That's what I
was,
thought was the 30s where they had like the same height, and I forget the number, but
right.
Yeah.
almost the same, so we like beat it by like an inch or something. But
Yeah.
Right, and so, you know, that was 80 years ago, 70 years ago, so it wasn't quite a 100-year flood, but.
Yeah, so
And,
it's
yeah,
probably
it
just on the
doesn't
order of a
make sense.
100-year flood.
Right.
Not-
Do you remember, Mayor? Anything, details on that?
No, not really.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think it makes sense to go change it all. So,
Yeah, but I think that's something that the city was looking at doing at some point. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I remember at the time, there's the FEMA like 50, 100-year flood maps, you know, and then mapping, because I think like Dan actually went out and marked where all the high water marks were, and then we're going to compare it to the flood map to kind of see
Right.
if those maps are even accurate or, you know.
Right.
So I don't know where that's gone, but I mean, it's
Right.
probably one of those things that it's on the list of things to do, but other things are more pressing.
Right. So
So
anyways,
just one
that's
question
it.
on the
Okay.
bushing. So how close to the bushings would it get before we decide to shut things off?
Right to it, and then let's say the wastewater plant, those are primary bushings on both sides, 7,200 down to 2,400, and they're insulated bushings. So they can be underwater.
I guess what I was wondering is, so if the bushings are like the water's an inch away, do we shut it off then because splashing or wind could get things wet, or is it
That's
just?
on the inside, and like I said.
So it's just always, it's so sealed enough that it's just being saturated to what would be the problem?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, just curious. I didn't know if there was like
If it got that
a,
high, we would see the water go way past where even the transformer is right now, after it fans out.
oh yeah, I understand that. I'm just curious. When you were saying 20 inches, I didn't know if that meant that when it gets within a foot of that height, we would say, we've got to shut things off, or if we can just go right up to that level, so.
well, I
Okay.
appreciate that you took the time to, go
Yeah.
assess and look at it. That to me is the important part. You make the assessment and we've determined it doesn't make sense to do anything different. That's,
Mhm.
And I'll let the individual know that approached me.
yeah.
Okay,
You can watch the video and
all right.
give them the status of that. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for letting us know that, because I know personally that the gentleman that's at the end of Lafayette Street, where that new box was put by the crew boats, they were thinking that, well, this is just in case if those go out, this one's for the standby, and what you just said is not the situation at all. What's that box at the end of Lafayette Street up on the hill?
That's one of the new transformers.
That's one of the new
that
ones.
Replaced,
Yes,
So-
that
replaced
the
the-
east substation.
It replaced it
And
then.
the one by the library
Library.
parking lot at Monroe. There were two of them, there were two circuits there. So that feeds the northeast circuit by King and Lafayette, and the southeast circuit is the one at the parking lot. So
Okay.
we have two of them now to replace the one transformer
So the
All right.
the substation that was
at the river,
by the boat launch,
gone.
is it actually physically gone?
Yes.
No, I haven't
Yeah,
been over
because I
there.
noticed that the fence
The
was
whole thing
down,
is gone.
so the fence
Looks
is
nice.
gone too, and.
That's all gone. The only thing, and I thought I mentioned this last month, we left the cement there because Liz from the chamber was thinking with the Riverwalk, they may want to add more cement instead of taking out the footings there and put picnic tables on it. So we just left that there
Okay,
until they
Until they
said they
decide
don't
what
want
they
it, then
wanna
we'll take it
do.
out.
Yeah.
all right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
It's
Tom.
nice down there too.
Yeah, it does. It does. A couple, three things here, not much progress at this time. The long-term natural gas supply, we talked last month about the possible legislation in Michigan, and so we're kind of hanging tight to see what happens with that. Line check, mural painting, we'll be talking with the Arts Council in the next few weeks to get that kicked off, and the Lowell School solar project, there's nothing new at this time.
There's, did you mention the cabling at Atwood?
No, I didn't, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Tom, you may want to talk about this more too. We had an outage at Atwood, a couple of weeks ago, Mark?
Yes.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
Last week.
And they found some cabling that was defective and caused the outage. And at first they thought it may have been installed defective, but it looks now like maybe some type of a rodent got in there and chewed away. And Tom, do you have that piece of
I do.
cabling handy that they can just see what it looks like? It's pretty interesting. In any event, they found cabling that was defective, and so they made the repair in order to get Atwood back on, but we are going to take an outage with them sometime in the next couple, 3 weeks, I think. The plan is
This Sunday at noon.
this Sunday at noon, so I'm close.
Oh my
So this is what
Wow.
actually burned. This is 1 out of 3, and this is a primary, so it's 7,200 volts going through each one of these, and it actually burned up in the conduit itself. So the reason that we're replacing this is we don't know if it caused any other damage, so we're all set to take
Oh.
a short outage
Okay.
and replace the other 2 with this. But if you look at this, it looked like you can see score marks on here, but if you look at it closely, you can see the marks going in different directions where it could have been a mouse or a squirrel got in the conduit and started gnawing on it, where it shorted out then.
So,
Not for long.
No.
so, so in the when you're saying in the
That's
conduit,
crazy.
below ground, is this,
Well, it could have been in the riser too.
We'll
You know,
know
from the top.
Sunday if there's a critter, when we pull the other wires out, if a critter comes out with it.
Yeah.
so my question is,
Start pulling.
being in the conduit, how did you find that, or how easy was it to find that? Because everybody's talking about, it was recently brought up,
Underground.
underground, this and that, and again, we've said that, underground is not necessarily the savior to all means, when it comes
We
to
owned it
cabling.
out, and they were together, the phase and the neutral, so you test it, and you could tell that one of the phases were not open, it was together. Secondary is a lot harder, because you can have a broken neutral, you can have a broken phase, they can leak together, but primary is a lot easier to troubleshoot.
So he was reading between the
Yeah,
high
there's a-
voltage wire and the neutral on here, or the ground, and there's insulation in between them. And you shouldn't have been reading anything, and you did. And of course, smoke.
Yeah, but I mean, so how did you, being in conduit, how did you find that? I mean, the conduit comes from here, it goes all,
Take it
comes
all
underneath.
off, and you test all 3 wires, phase to the ground, and one of the phases was making continuity, which was an alarm, which that burned
So
everything
it helped you
together.
identify the area.
So then you just pull it out until you find the bad spot?
You
Dig
pull
it
right
up?
out and replace it.
Oh, you just had to pull the whole thing out and just
Yep.
put it in, okay,
And it wasn't that long of a run. The riser
Yeah,
pole
I was
is
gonna
not that
say.
far from the transformer, so.
okay.
This one was fairly easy because it was a short run.
Yeah.
When you have a long run, it gets much more complicated to try and figure out where that is.
And there's spare conduit, so we just ran 1 wire in the spare conduit. And since we're getting ready for the outage, we ran the other 2 with the 1 conduit, so our outage is gonna be, instead of 3 hours, like a half hour.
So is this
Okay.
the cabling? I mean, obviously, but the same thickness, same cabling that went underneath the river
No.
from over here?
No,
Okay.
no. I believe the one under the river is twice the size of this. This is 250 MCM copper, and I believe there's 500 MCM copper under the river.
And you're saying there's 3 of those in there, so it's a 3-phase?
3-phase.
So there's 3 of those together that make the one run, 3 of those cables, or that's 3 phases in that one?
No, this is only 1 phase, so there's
Okay.
3 of these total.
Yep,
How large a
a
conduit?
lot of pennies.
That's,
There's 6,
yeah,
so it's super easy to,
and not very far, so.
Right. Super easy, other than the fact that that stuff doesn't bend real well.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty
heavy.
staunch.
I'm just trying to picture like a roll of quarters, It's a lot of metal.
Thanks for the explanation. It helps
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So any bets on what the animal is they're gonna pull out?
So,
You
Toasty.
don't need to bring pictures to the next board meeting.
Bring the
Just saying.
animal. Bring
No.
the
Bring the animal, yeah.
question for you,
Snacks next week.
Put them in the box of cookies and open it up.
They're well done like jerky.
and I don't know if you know the answer, or maybe this is a Ron Woods question or anything. When you're talking about the natural gas supply, again, they're doing, or were, on Bose, and, I mean, they were doing a bunch of upgrading and stuff.
That has no impact on the supply that comes to Lowell. It was just for redistribution of the gas that is in Lowell
Okay.
for customers in that area. Anything else on those? Strategic planning, we spent a short time, well, not a short time, but we spent some time last month on strategic planning, and we talked about items that we wanted to add and how we might reorganize the format and that type of thing. So I've come back with this month a format that I think meets what you were asking for. So all I'm really asking this month is that you look it over, and is this kind of what you were thinking? I've updated it with a lot of the projects that we talked about, moved many of them over to the initially completed but ongoing action items category, and then the recently completed action items category. And we'll just keep that as an ongoing active document. What I'd like you to do for next time, if possible, is to take these ones that are added, that are newer, they don't have numbers, priority letters, or colors with them. And if you just kind of think about what you, as individual board members, would want to place in those boxes, then we'll put some numbers and some letters to them next month in terms of how we want to prioritize those. And we'll do some, as staff, we'll put some information in there in terms of how feasible we think those are, and then come up with a timeline that we can put for the metrics on those items. Okay? That seem reasonable? All right. Flipping the page there. Again, Steve kind of gave a brief update on the AMI. We did tell Eaton Cooper that we're ready to move forward, and we did get contract documents from them this week, I think, Steve, and they went on to Dick Wendt. He's reviewing them, so we should have them back sometime in the next week or so, I would think, to be able to move forward with that. Last month was also brought up a question about commercial shutoffs and what would happen when a commercial customer had a past due amount, and when would they go in and get a shutoff notice. And we indicated we'd look into it and bring back a recommendation to the board. Basically, we think it's something that we can circumvent and not have potential issues in the future. But procedurally, I'll let Steve tell you how he thinks that would work.
So I talked with our software provider, and there is the ability for us to exclude what they call in the software the penalty, which would be the late charge, from the determination of whether a shutoff letter will go out or not. So we're going to work with them and make sure that if somebody gets a $12 late charge, or 2% of a huge bill, that late penalty is excluded from the determination if a shutoff letter is sent out.
Right.
The other thing that we talked about was, right now a shutoff letter is being sent out if a customer is $20 past due or more. In the last year or so, we reviewed our policies and increased the shutoff fee, like the reconnect disconnect fee, to $45. And I think it would be a good idea to not send a shutoff letter out unless somebody's balance is $45 or more. I think just common sense wise, it would probably be frustrating for a customer to get shut off for $30 and then they have a $45 reconnect fee. So if the reconnect fee is larger than the past due balance, I think we shouldn't be sending out a shutoff letter. And I had Megan do a quick analysis of how many shutoff letters we're sending out, how many people have a balance $44.99 or less. It's roughly 10% of our letters. and depending on a given month, we send 270 to 330. So these two things would alleviate frustrated customers in the future for getting shut-off letters for just a past due balance, or, you know, if it's just $25. So that's
Makes good
what
sense.
I would like to do and change procedurally, just in the office, and any input or feedback.
I think that's great.
That sounds good to
Makes
me.
good sense.
Okay.
Do you think that meets what the concern was, Perry, that you, with,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Mhm. I just wanted you
I think it's
I
good that
just
you
wanted
brought
to
it
bring
up,
it-
so we look at
to,
it.
you know, look at it and see what we're doing, and I'm using your judgment on that. And if that's where you think needs to be done, then I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Good, good. All right, next item, the after-holiday party. I indicated we're still working on some ideas and bring some information to you tonight, and we do have some information for you. We had talked at the last meeting about the fact that the event that we've been having, the attendance had been decreasing year after year after year, and so maybe it was time to try and think of something new. So we've solicited some information and tried to brainstorm a little bit in-house, and one of the things that we've come up with as a possibility, and we've talked to people, one of the indications was that people aren't overly anxious to come to events where they have to bring something.
Right.
So maybe that's something we need to look at. How can we do that differently and not have everybody have to bring a dish to pass or a potluck or whatever. So that was one area. Another item was a lot of times people have their weekend evenings tied up. You know, they have regular things that they do, and so it's hard to get everybody together or people to take an evening for an event like this. So one of the thoughts that came out of that process was maybe we could do something at a facility, lost the word, at a facility that would offer the ability to give us a room, maybe have some snacks, maybe we could bring some of our own and not some of our own, have them provide some. Maybe we could have some activities to do. It would encourage families, maybe people to come and snowshoe or cross-country ski, or just sit around a fire and enjoy the afternoon instead of an evening. So we have some numbers on that. It looks like it's feasible. Both Candlestone and/or Deer Run will allow us to do that. Deer Run is a little more flexible in terms of us being able to bring some stuff ourselves, and they would provide some stuff. They would have an open bar available at both places, and they would allow cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. And we could set it up from 1:30 in the afternoon to 4:30 in the afternoon or something like that, and people could just stop in as they wanted to. Families could come, those types of things. So that's kind of where we got with it. I think at Candlestone too, Sharon mentioned that if we picked a certain Friday, and if we did it on a Friday afternoon, say we did it from 3 to 7 or something like that, or 3:30 to 7:30, they have a free comedy night a couple times a month on Friday night, so people could stay for the comedy night after the holiday get-together. So those are the types of things that we've been thinking about and look like they could be feasible. I don't know if that's anything you're interested in. I don't know if that's anything that the city might be interested in. So I'm open to comments.
I'm gonna throw out an idea,
Okay,
and it's just thinking outside the box. And
Absolutely.
again, because I get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
thinking outside the box?
Yeah, is, as an organization, Light and Power, we pick a family in need type situation, and again, I'm just throwing different things out, whether it's a family in need or something that we could do as a project, as combine the holiday party into a project for us that we would go out and and assist somebody, a family, or, we pick a family or whatever, and it's just, for me, it's enjoyable. And I don't want to say killing two birds with one stone, but it's something that we could do as a group, something that we could do as a family, bring your family and, kids shoveling the wall. Again, I'm just throwing different ideas out because we have said we wanted to change things from what we were doing because it just didn't seem, there was some excitement at one time, but there doesn't seem to be much excitement about it now.
Mhm.
And again, maybe that's, everybody else might say, Perry, you're all washed up,
I think that's a good activity. I think we could do that as Lowell Light and Power. And maybe we could do it as the whole city. I think that's a good idea. I'm not sure combining them into one and the same.
No, again,
Yeah,
I'm just thinking of like, okay, we pick, if there was something out there like that, we pick something and, and we make it an event. We bring hors d'oeuvres, food, a party type situation where we're helping somebody out.
right.
So again, and I'm just trying to think of, as I'm going about business every day, trying to think
Right.
of different things that might hit a chord and might not.
Mhm.
I think
So what's
that's
the,
go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, so what's the purpose of the holiday party? Just to get all the
Well,
staff and?
it's evolving, and I think that's
Yeah.
one of the things we need to talk about, because originally we every year had an event at Christmas time to show appreciation to our staff.
Mhm.
And I think the city did something along those lines as well. I'm not sure whether they did the same thing that we did or not, but I know that we did one separately. And so we thought that we would do something jointly as the city and Light and Power. And at one time, we actually, went to a facility or a restaurant or something, and we had a dinner and to show appreciation to our employees. And so there's a question whether, that's acceptable for a governmental entity to do that or not. So we kind of stepped back from that a little bit and went to a venue where it was kind of like a bring your own thing. We got together a facility that didn't charge much for the use of the facility, so there really wasn't a huge expense, because we're under this guideline that's kind of nebulous that says we can do de minimis activities to
Right.
show appreciation to our employees and staff. So it evolved from what it was when I got here to what we've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years, and the families have dropped out, so that part of it has fallen by the wayside. And my thinking was that I'd like to do something that would get the families involved again, and we show our employees appreciation. And I've talked to our auditor, Peter Hefner, about what that de minimis might be, and so I have some guidelines on that. And, what we're talking about, or what we presented tonight, was something that would fall within that parameter. So, and again, what Perry's suggesting takes it even a step further, and, I think that's a benefit as well. So I think we probably just need to wrap our minds about whether we want to do something completely different or evolve to something new, or do both. We want to show appreciation to our employees and do something that way, and then do a community activity, so that's up to you guys to decide. That's kind of the evolution of what's been going on.
Okay.
I love the idea of going out and doing some sort of community service project. I don't know that that's as feasible in the wintertime. When I think about the number of people that might want to get involved, you couldn't do one house. I mean, you could maybe go to the trailer park and do something at, the mobile home community, and do something in the mobile home community, or do something in, a neighborhood, but it would be hard to pick one house or one location. And I think that type of service might be more suited to warmer weather. I love the idea of doing something like that. I think it'd be a really neat thing to do. And I think in terms of showing appreciation to employees, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I guess my feeling is, why just worry about doing it during the holidays? I mean, I actually was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what month it was last year that the board got together and did lunch. And I thought, we should do that
Yeah.
again. Like,
I agree.
I enjoyed that. And I think the staff, I think the staff enjoyed that. And I thought, from my end, I thought that was kind of a neat thing for us to do. And so there's a lot of different things you can do
Absolutely.
to let the employees know that they're appreciated, that don't bump up against that potential. And, we could do, if, something fun, like didn't they do like a Friday afternoon tailgate party or something with the city? And
We've done that.
so,
and we
there's
also-
just
yeah.
different things
Yeah.
that you can.
We did a
pick other
Saturday
things.
afternoon at, was it Triple R?
Double R
Ranch, one year.
But I'd go for that,
Yeah.
horses.
Well, my input with this is that I know personally that my holiday parties that I go to where I work has evolved too. And I help them put these events together. And what,
So you're in charge.
no,
I think I
No.
even
She is a
talked
great
about being the
party
event
planner.
no, I'm not, but the one thing that I
Did a great
did
job
see
on the
of the change is that the fact that your employees want a holiday party, or let's say, let's start the new year fresh. Employees really dig the fact that let's have lunch here and let's take the rest of the day off, and they're gone. They appreciate that. That's a huge gift to your employees. To let's grill some steaks. We're gonna have lunch at 11. Maybe by 12 noon, you're done eating your steak and you're happy and you got the rest of the day to yourself. That is really, it's just bank. What I found.
I don't know, how do you?
With or without
Bank. I mean,
Oh,
right
with
out
pay.
the door, and they're
I
happy,
think
and they're out.
that's-
They're
yeah.
paid. Yeah, paid.
Yeah,
They're
it's
paid
paid
and out the
times.
door. See ya. That's what I have found is a really great gift. You don't have to give them a bottle of water that says Lowell Light and Power and a cup, and here you go. And that's this out the door, and they're just ecstatic. Doing something great like what you had said. Let's get together and go to the mobile home park and let's help them get together and make it into more of a park. That sounds like a great deal too, so during the summer, but in the winter, like right now,
Right.
And
And it doesn't have
Out
to
the
be,
door.
it doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be mobile home, doesn't have to be
Right.
No,
home,
it
doesn't have to
doesn't
be
have-
family.
no.
It could,
Something
it could
benefit the
be,
community.
and I'm gonna take, Jim Hall, really wanted to clean up the riverbank from the softball field all the way down to the Grand River, along the
Right.
Flat River. So maybe we do that. We say, we're gonna have a family event, we're gonna cook hot dogs, we're gonna have a picnic, but we're also gonna clean, bring your garbage can or bring your gloves, and we're gonna, do that. So I'm just saying that,
It's minimal cost grilling hot dogs and
Right,
burgers.
well,
but I mean, I'm just saying
Clancy
that
Board of Water and Light does that every year on Earth Day.
when I've done at the holidays and everything, a group of us, we get more out of it than, and so, again, for me, that gives me an activity, gives me something to do. Again, I don't have any young kids anymore, but you can bring, families could bring their, and it's a life lesson. So,
I think that'd be a really fun thing to do. If you do it in
and
the
so,
spring, so.
that could be our holiday. it's Memorial Day holiday, you know, or whatever. I mean,
Right.
so anyway, again, I'm just different ideas that to try to get people
Yeah,
involved.
and if you want to do a lunch, you know, we could always encourage maybe the city council members to do lunch for everybody at City Hall, and then this board could do lunch
Yeah.
for everybody here, and, you know, I don't know. Might be a fun thing.
Anything else? Okay. No other brainstorms?
I like those ideas.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of that, what do you call it, volunteer picnic type.
Oh, I think that's great.
'Cause I know my company has a volunteer day in August every year where you sign up for, there's like a bunch of different things you can do, but you go typically groups of 5 to 200, depending on the task, but they provide lunch and you basically, you get half a day off, you get half a day paid to go volunteer at some,
Go
Yeah.
volunteer in the
Thing, and
morning.
So
and then-
yours is during the week,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, it's
because we
always on a
call it the
Friday.
care day, or,
Yeah.
and people, you find people opt more to volunteer and get grubby if they, am I gonna go to work?
They're gonna get that half
Am I
day
gonna
off.
go here?
Yeah.
And honestly, though, you know, like I said, once again, it's the buyout of, they're not gonna be at work.
well, it's the half day off, but if you're
It
doing
is.
something, but it's kind of fun because you're doing something with colleagues and you get a free lunch, and then oftentimes people find they stay
Yeah.
longer than if they had just stayed at work
Yeah.
and gone home at 5, because
Right.
sometimes they're having fun, you know, pulling weeds or whatever we do, so
Okay, well,
that's just a thought, but yeah, it's,
I'll take our ideas to Mark Howe and see if we can find some cohesiveness there in terms of what they're doing. And,
Mhm.
you know,
as long as I think people have the time to interact, and, because that's what I always liked, is you get to hang out and chat with people you don't normally get to just
Right.
chat with.
Right,
And sometimes people you don't even get to see hardly, so.
exactly. So, okay. Very good. We've taken care of the no annual bank authorizations this year, and the payables are in your packet. Just a couple other things I wanted to mention was, we don't have the final numbers yet, but we did reach our energy optimization goals for this year. Sharon's still trying to work out the final details on a couple of projects that ended up being towards the end of the year, but we do know for a fact that we're over our budget, over our goals, by about 10 or 15%, 10% at least, and on budget for the cost. So again, another super job there on our EO. We're still waiting to hear what's going on in the legislature as to how long that might be extended now that it was supposed to be over in 2015. The initial information we got was that the two House bills and Senate bills were looking at maybe keeping it another 18 months or another 180 days. You know, they were throwing out some numbers like that. The governor has come out and said that he would like to keep it in place until 2022. So there's a huge difference between 18 months from now and 2022. So we don't know how that's going to end up yet, but again, another good job, Sharon, getting that EO taken care of this year. So thank you. Well, there's also a thank you in your packet from Linda Johnson that just sent a Facebook message thanking us for getting power back on during December. So I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. That brings us to schedule of meetings is in your packet. Our next Lowell Light Power Board meeting is Thursday, February 11th. And that brings us to board comment. Andrew, we'll start with you.
I've got no comment tonight.
I do. 59 energy audits. That's amazing, you guys. In what, 3 years? Or going on 3 years? That's amazing. Kudos. When I saw those numbers, I wanted to scream hip hip hooray. I mean, that's a lot of work. That's a ton of work. And oh my gosh, I can't wait to toot my horn at work and let them know how great Lowell is and what we're doing here. And the combustor, the biogester operations, I'm ecstatic about that. We're moving forward. We are going to be a community that people are just going to look at and say, Eureka, where have these people been and what is going on here? Because we're all getting educated, and I do appreciate being on this board because this has really opened up my eyes on how great this town is running and what all the work that goes into it. Sharon and Mr. Russo, and I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but
Steve.
Mr. Steve.
Greg, but it's just amazing. So I do appreciate the work that you guys do. Thank you. That's it.
Perry?
Few things. I just want to address, because we're on YouTube or whatever, Peggy Colbert had mentioned at, I believe, the last council meeting about a concern about the AMI automatic metering system, health concerns, rate, cost, and then there was an article, I think, in the Ledger. From all information that I've received from Steve and what we've talked about at the board, that people will be able to opt out. There will not be an additional cost if you opt out. They're not going to be charged more because they're opting out. I will say that their concern is, maybe 3 years from the time that it's implemented, that there will be a rate increase because of the automatic metering system. From all the information that I've received from Cooper, from Steve, that's been shared here, that this AMI automatic metering system is going to actually save us money. It's going to control expenses, control of having to send people out to read meters, and you might want to touch on that. But the only thing that I would concern is I see cost increasing because of renewable resources, the cost of coal, the having to keep up with the EPA and the which is a good thing of keeping the environment safe, but I see energy costs going up. Will it be because, and maybe fuel goes up, fuel goes down, whatever the case might be. I can't tell you in 3 years and 4 years what the cost of fuel would be for energy, for electric power. But I can tell you that what we've done with Cooper, and it's a 0% loan, so we're getting this at zero interest, and so we're not having to figure that into the rates or anything at that. So I believe the AMI is a positive thing. From all information that I've received, that there's been so-called scares about health and everything. Having this cell phone sitting next to me or in my pocket is emitting more wavelengths of than what the metering system would send out. So I think it's the right thing to do. I know that Alan Thielander in his statement said, he's going to be watching every move that Lowell Light and Power makes to make sure that the rate doesn't go up. I can say that I feel that the rate will never go up because of the AMI. Well, could it go up because of other things that are going to be influencing energy? Absolutely. Enough of that. I'm sure we're going to be doing something, but I want to say to Sharon and to the rest of their staff, Expo's coming up, the 26th of March. It'll be here before you know it. So you're going to so if we're going to participate again as Lowell Light and Power, just be on top of that. I am going to plug for Expo. The Pink Arrow Group, along with Michigan Blood, is trying to put together the largest blood drive you've seen in this area at Expo. It will be in honor of Shelby Offering, and it'll be used to enhance the endowment fund that they're trying to put together for Lowell schools for educational endowment for students. So that will be a big thing coming up at Expo. Other than that, was out in between the holidays as I was leaving Christmas time, or was doing some shopping here in town. Tractor Supply, Ace Hardware, generators were going out of there left and right. There were the outer community that Lowell Light and Power does not supply as everybody knows, was without power, and were without power for several days.
Third year in a row at Christmas.
So again, great kudos to Lowell Light and Power, the management, the staff, the line workers, the office. Our power we continue to provide our customers safe, reliable, affordable power. That's it.
Tamala.
I just want to commend Sharon especially for all of the work on MEAT. Greg mentioned that is a very unique program in the state, and that it's kind of become sort of the poster child for the MEAT program. And the reason is because of the partnership with Lowell Light and Power. None of the other recipients of that money are partnering with a local utility. So that was a very unique program that frankly started because Sharon showed up in my office one day when I was still at Fromm and said, hey, here's some potential money, and then came and spent 4 hours at my house to help work on the grant. She really has spearheaded that from the very beginning and has been so instrumental in making that program work. And I just want to commend her for that. I know it takes a lot of nights and some weekends and it's a lot. So I appreciate that, and I know that as the program has grown, other staff have been engaged in making sure that works, and I really appreciate that. It's been a tremendous benefit to this community, and really appreciate it. And then my other comment is sort of a question, I guess. I want to reiterate that it would be really great to see our new council members coming and getting informed about what we're doing. We haven't seen any of them at this meeting yet, and I'm concerned that they're at council meetings talking about keeping an eye on Lowell Light and Power, but yet not coming and participating and getting educated. And my question is, I know that Mr. Hodges is here. I can no longer call you Mr. Mayor. But I'm not sure if he was here simply as an observer and a guest tonight, or because we don't have a council representative at the table. And it's my understanding that we should have a council representative. So I was just wondering if we've had a new council representative appointed.
They did not, the council did not appoint any board or commission appointments at their last council meeting.
Because I just think that's important for us to have that
Right.
connect.
I
And
think
so
Jeff
I
Phillips
just-
was absent. I think that was part of the
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
But
So
that
I just-
will
I
probably
just wanna
happen at the
mention
next
that.
meeting. So we will
I-
have a representative.
Okay, and I appreciate Mr. Hodges being here as a guest and not an official representative, but I just want to mention that I think that's really important that that be dealt with sooner rather than later. And really just, again, invite the new council members to come, to participate, to learn, and really understand what it is that this board is trying to do and the amazing things that the staff does. I think it's important for them to really have a better understanding of that, because just to be having conversations at the council meeting void of any connection, I don't think is healthy or really, a good idea. They're uninformed conversations going on if they're not coming here and being informed. So,
I agree with you 100%. I would like to see more council member participation at our board meetings. I will say that I am aware that Greg Pierce and Mark Howe are working together so that we at Light and Power will do once a month, once every 2 months or whatever, we'll get on the agenda at the council meetings. And so we will do, Lowell Light and Power will do an informative presentation periodically at a council meeting,
that's good.
which again, I think it's important
I
that
was not aware.
that
Yeah.
to see how this board and everything operates and what we're doing. I think it's important to be here, to be able to ask questions of us at the appropriate time. But I do think that, again, we're making the step to try to inform, be more informative, and Greg can
That's
touch on that.
great to hear. I didn't realize that was coming
Yeah,
up, so that's really good to hear.
Mark just presented it at the last council meeting, and I think we're on the docket for February 1st council meeting.
Okay.
And
Good.
we're going to do a little presentation on rates and the PCA, the power cost adjustment.
Good.
So that's what we indicated to Mark.
That's great news. Thank you.
Only thing I had, thank you, Sharon, for spearheading the prom thing. That really is amazing. Your hard work did that, so thank you. Great thing for the community. And that wraps it up for me.
The only other thing that I would like to announce tonight is that I have picked a retirement date.
Oh, thanks for ending on that note.
Well, no, you haven't.
And it's in what, 2020?
March 25th
Next year.
this year.
What?
And so I wanted to make you aware of that. And I have promoted Steve to the assistant general manager's position. And he and I will be working closely over the next 10 weeks.
I think
Take a breath.
wow.
No, congratulations. Enjoy life at this point. And,
Gotta move
the
on to
board
it.
can't thank you enough for what you've done for Lowell Light and Power in the community.
I just think you've been such, from everything that I've heard about what happened prior to you coming, I look at where we're at with the biodigester, with the AMI, with just all of the different things. The partnership at Prom, that, I don't think that would have happened under different leadership, and just where we're at in the community, and it really speaks to what you brought. So I'm glad for you, but it's sad for us.
Yeah,
So,
it's not an easy decision, but
Understand.
But he has another calling.
I have another calling. My family has felt the call for the last couple of years now
are you gonna do
to,
missionary work?
yes, the ranch that we have in Colorado will be a home for youth that don't have a home.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Do you start your own little nonprofit? I know a really good consultant if you're any. That's awesome. That's very cool.
So So thank you for putting up with me for the last 8 years. And it's been enjoyable, and we'll have a continuing relationship. My phone will always be available. Right, Steve?
That's right.
So are we gonna
Except
talk
when you don't
about
have service.
search? I mean, are
At
we
some
gonna
point.
have a conversation soon? Because that's coming up really fast, kind of like a freight train.
Just
So,
before that.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
and congratulations to you.
Thank you, Perry.
on the promotion.
Well deserved.
Yes.
Thank you.
So,
I
you
look
couldn't have
forward to
done
it.
at the beginning of the meeting?
I thought it was better to end on a good note.
Well, I have mixed feelings about whether or not it's good. No, it's very good for you, and I think it's really cool that you guys are going to do that in Colorado. But
Yeah.
it's very cool.
He's put a great foundation in place here that I have confidence in the staff.
And I know we have a great staff here. We do. We have an amazing staff, and
I think you have everything you need to move
Yeah.
forward. And so that
But
was
that's
my
still a
goal,
big-
is to have that,
yeah.
in place, so. Thank you again.
I move to adjourn.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, that was a bombshell.
It's not turned off yet.
Still a bombshell. That's cool. You got your. So you're going to be selling the place here. You're moving completely out there.
At some point,
Are you bringing any chickens or horses with you?
absolutely.